What's up guys, it's Punchy and the big news is here. Ironsing is available and it's out right now. I had the privilege of testing this whole attunement and it's been very exciting to mess around with, so let's get right into it, no wasting time. I'll do my best to explain everything new that I think that has come up with the release of Ironsing, so get ready and let's start. Taking a quick look at our stats menu, we find Ironsing right where you would expect in the attunement section. Hovering over the stat, it says Ironsing, your ability to harness metal from your surroundings. It's very cool and thematic for this element. Moving on from this, everybody wants to see what's in store for the Ironsing mantras, so let's take a look. The first Ironsing mantra we'll take a look at is Metal Rampart. This mantra takes up one mobility slot and it says towering pillars of metal, but it's only one. On activation, you summon a giant pillar of iron which you can then sit on top of or spam mantras from up above. It's very good for running and synergizes well with some of the other ranged Ironsing mantras. The next move we have is a combat mantra named Metal Eruption. Its description says a flurry of metal spikes, and that's what it is. The eruption is a fairly ranged mantra where you stomp the ground and send spikes from any direction you face. This mantra does decent damage and has solid range for a multi-hitting move. Also, you'll notice that on hit, you place a metal rod on your enemy, which we will be using with the Ironsing talent. Most Ironsing combat mantras do the same thing. Next up, we have a Metal Kick, which is a metal kick. According to the description, it's a powerful kick laced with metal. The basic version of this move causes the user to jump up and slam into the enemy, fully knocking them down and setting up a combo. This mantra is great for getting the drop on enemies and setting up your combos for even more damage. You also gain some pretty solid vertical height with this mantra, and I'm excited to see what you guys do with this move. But this mantra also has a spark variant using Spring Spark. Instead of jumping up and hitting your enemy from above, you do a side kick which comes out even faster. This does not do knockdown, but it does the same damage and it's a faster version of the original metal kick. The next mantra we have is of course Needle Barrage. This was shown off in the original leaks and it's one of the many ranged mantras that Ironsing has. It's a barrage of metal rods, and this mantra lets you jump up and shoot down rods of metal. This move comes out very quickly, lets you jump back, and applies decent damage, and this also does not auto-aim, so be careful about that, you have to aim it. This mantra also has a Blast Spark variant, which switches up how needles are thrown out. Instead of jumping up, you shoot needles straight, exactly where you're aiming. Honestly, this is very good because it does not slow you down, and it's very easy to aim. Our next Ironsing mantra is Iron Skin, where you coat your skin with metal to reduce harm. It's exactly what you'd expect from a mantra called Iron Skin because you turn into iron, and you can reduce damage extremely well. This mantra will also quickly increase your armor with the Intuitive Repairs bonus talent. Next up, we got something that is honestly going to be game changing, and Metal Armament allows you to summon a greatsword beside you, which can be used to apply pressure and deal insane damage. I think this will be overpowered and borderline broken because it swings when you swing with a very small delay. It's honestly my favorite mantra of the Ironsing mantras, and this will be good. It's worth mentioning that this mantra does not apply the Metal Rod status, but it will proc every single enchant. After that, we have yet another ranged mantra. This time it's Firing Line, where we summon metal rifles to deal heavy damage. Our mantra auto-aims to the nearest target and deals rapid damage that's pretty hard to avoid. Although it shoots fast, it might be very easy to parry, and it does not apply the Metal Rod status. Next up, we have Metal Ball. This mantra was shown off in the leaks, and it's pretty damn good. You transform into a fast-moving spike ball of death, which knocks down, deals solid damage, and applies for the Metal Rod status. It's simple but effective. After that, we have Caltrops, another ranged mantra that is honestly an upgrade to Gale Trap, and with the same sort of animation, you throw out a cone of spiky traps your enemies must avoid, which deal good damage. First of all, they apply the Metal Rod status and stay on the floor. If anybody steps over a missed Caltrop, it deals damage and applies the Metal Rod status. This is definitely one of the status applying mantras. Moving along, we also have Metal Rain, another ranged mantra that comes along with the Ironsing arsenal. Anywhere you aim, metal rods fall from above and deal heavy damage. Every single one of these arrows takes a good amount of HP and applies the Metal Rod status. Also, it's worth mentioning that this does not stun or hurt the user. Next up, we also got a pretty solid hit against block, which is Iron Slam. Using this mantra, you slam the ground hard with a giant piece of metal, and all you gotta do is hit hard and be rewarded. The hitbox and speed of this mantra are not to be slept on, but it does not do that great of damage, and it also applies the Metal Rod status. Now, the final Ironsing mantra right now is Metal Gatling. This mantra is another ranged attack that auto-aims, and it's pretty damn good. You aim at a target and throw out a small projectile which always hits and applies multiple hits of damage on your target. You're barely stunned when using this, and it does hurt a lot. Also, it applies the Metal Rod status. That's all for the current mantras, so let's get onto the status effect and some of the current talents. So right off the bat, you'll notice that dealing damage with specific mantras and other talents will apply the Metal Rod status. Well, you can do a few things with these rods. If you target an enemy with any amount of metal rods, they don't even have to be your own rods, it could be anybody's rods. You can press X and pull your target towards you to close the gap. It's pretty interesting, but you must do this quickly before the status is gone. Using the talent Metalsmith Jailer, you instead restrain your enemy instead of pulling them towards you, which is cool for keeping people people still, so if you want to stun people, you want to pick this. Metalsmith Impaler pulls out all 5 of the metal rods, dealing more damage as well. These are definitely good, but the most overpowered thing I've ever seen with Ironsing has got to be Metalsmith Conductor. After throwing out and hitting 5 different metal rods, you will form a white conductor rod. This conductor will show up with a different model color, and it really shuts down mantras. Whenever enemies throw out their next mantra, the conductor will activate and reflect that elemental effect. So for fire, it lights them on fire, but for things like lightning and gale, it suffocates the enemy or stuns them, and it negates their mantra, so it's very, very strong. Moving on, let's take a look at the talent Piercing Metal. You will deal additional armor damage to enemies per metal rod affecting them. This is decent because we gain a ton of buffs depending on the armor level of our target. For example, with the talent Ironclad Punishment, your Ironsing mantras deal more posture damage the more armor an enemy has. So if people are maxed out, you deal way more block pressure using mantras. On the other hand, with Exposed Durability, you deal 10% more damage to opponents without any armor, which is broken. This is so great using the metal enchant because you can shred opponents without any armor. There are also a few other talents that benefit the user by just picking it up. Phantom Edge might be a must pick on all builds because it straight up increases weapon M1, range by 0.25. I'm not sure how good this will be, but it might prove to be overpowered. Other talents are also very good from a passive level. Something like the Iron Singer's Instinct. On a successful dodge, you become metal and reduce all damage taken from the next attack, and that's very good. You get buffs just by playing the game, and that's crazy. The final thing we have to talk about is how to unlock Ironsing, and it is pretty easy, I will say. You have to talk to this guy called Adar, and he will break down Pluripotent Alloy into 6 different metals: iron, gold, Aerosaur Earthine, Astraline, and Umbralite, and once you bring that to him, you will unlock this attunement for all of your slots. This NPC is found in Miner's Landing. He's very easy to find, so yeah, once you do that, then you'll be all set up, and you can start making your builds. If you thought that this showcase was informational, make sure to like and subscribe for even more exclusive Deepwoken content. Thanks for watching, and make sure to have a good one, and it's punchin' time.